Hi, I'm Kyle Hall, District 32 Director, and this is my video blog number 3. Now, in video blog number 1, I talked about trying something new, doing something new to expand our comfort zone. And in video blog number 2, I talked about the secret to good club planning. I want to expand on the idea of doing something new a little bit. I want to ask the question, how do we get better? How do we make sure we're always improving? Most of the time, us human beings, when we're thinking about doing something new, the first question that pops into our head is, how do I do this right? How do I make sure I do this right? Wrong question. There is no right. There's only, are we being effective? Are we reaching the goals that we set for this exercise, for whatever it is we're doing? And how do we get better? So those are the things we need to think about. Are we reaching our goal? How do we measure that? And how do we make sure that we get better? Now, if you think about it, Toastmasters already has this built in when it comes to speeches. You give a speech, you get evaluated. Your evaluator talks about, did you reach the Did you reach the goals of the exercise? Did you fulfill the goals of the exercise? And how could you get better? How could you do it better next time? So that's built in right into the Toastmasters program when it comes to speeches. But we don't always carry that same feedback mechanism into other things we're doing. So for instance, let's say our club decides we're going to do a membership building event. Well, how do we measure success? How do we know if we had a successful membership building event? I mean, if nobody shows up, then you can probably figure it wasn't successful. But what is success? 3 guests, 5 guests, 10 guests? You have to decide. How do we measure that? Well, we count them as they walk in. Do any of them come back and join? If you get 10 guests but none of them join, is that a successful event? I don't know. So you need to look at, do guests show up? Do they join? One of the other things to think about is asking your guests, how did they hear about us? So that if you do another membership building event in the future, you can use that information. If they heard about you because you put up flyers, next time you're going to put up flyers. If you put up flyers and nobody heard about it, but they all heard about it because you did an interview on the local radio station, next time you're going to do interviews on the local radio station. Now, none of what I've described is difficult. It takes a little bit of planning, a little bit of thought, a little bit of communication between the club officers. Let's talk about another example. In the officer trainings we've been doing this summer, we have been suggesting that it is worthwhile for clubs to have a more structured mentoring program. So let's say you're a club officer, say, hey, let's do that. Let's have a more structured mentoring program. How would you measure success? How would you know if your attempts to have a more structured mentoring program are working? Let me suggest a couple of thoughts. First of all, you should be able to, at some point, look at a report or a sheet of paper or something that indicates that your club members have mentors. If you can look at a report from, let's say, Free Toast Toast or Easy Speak or whatever your club uses, or a Word document, anything that lists all the club members, and each club member has a mentor, okay, that's a good start. Now let's take it one step further. How about doing a survey of all the mentees to find out their level of satisfaction with the mentor program? Now, doing a survey like that isn't difficult. Just takes a little bit of thought, a little bit of communication, and feeding that back to whoever's running the mentor program. So I've been encouraging you to try something new. When you're thinking about something new, don't think about how to do it right. Think about how to always be improving. And that means putting together a feedback mechanism that looks at, are you reaching the goals you set? And how can you do it better? Include that right in the planning process, right from the start, that feedback mechanism. That's the secret to always improving. Let's build happy, healthy, vital clubs.